I think now I'll pass on to Laura to talk about
Yeah,
one more.
lots of things. Hi everyone, thanks Dane. So indeed, at Booking.com we've seen that embracing this culture of experimentation helped us in a lot of different ways. But it certainly doesn't end there. So once you actually go into action, so into experimenting around measuring incrementally, there are a lot of things you have to consider, among which are things like sample size, things like the test control split, and even the metric that you're going to be measuring. Something that we would definitely want you to take away from our presentation is that, and this is of course our experience, what worked very well for us was to try to answer these questions by leaning into statistics, by just trusting the knowledge that already exists from this brilliant field, coming from research of many, many years. We actually have an example to share with you. So a while ago, we were working with a travel-related partner to put a campaign in place. And of course, this partner being travel-related, what they wanted was to maximize the amount of travel-related impressions being shown. And this plot, you can actually see for each exposed control split, which is on the y-axis, the required reach in millions that we would need to get to have a significant test. So indeed, we were first suggested by the partner to go with the 90-10 split because, of course, they wanted the Booking.com ad way more than they wanted the PSA. But a little exploration actually revealed precisely this. So a 50-50 split would be optimal, and anything else would lead to waste. Waste of budget, because you would need to buy a lot more impressions. A waste of time, because you would need to wait a lot longer to reach significance in your test. And finally, it could lead to some real disappointment, because we were planning to run this campaign in Australia. And as you might know, there are not 30 million people in there. So even if we could reach every single person, we would still be short of the necessary reach. So yeah, it would have been a disaster. And how did we spot this? Well, we just opened the statistics book, read what was in there, and voila, we got this. So we nailed it in time. And not only we could learn things like this, but we can also answer questions such as, indeed, what metrics should we be using? You're probably guessing like, okay, Booking.com, you need to be using bookings. That's what you're trying to get extra from your advertisement. Well, we actually switched from bookings to bookers, because even though you're indeed after bookings, bookings is a continuous variable. Not continuous, but, well, you cannot have alpha booking, but it's not binary, as a booker is. So booker, you're either a booker or you're not. It's either 1 or 0. As with bookings, you might make 1 booking, 2 bookings, 3 bookings. So not only would complicate the whole setup, requiring a much bigger sample size, but it would also mean we were actually measuring something that we are not so sure that we are influencing primarily. Like, I think I might convert you. I don't know if I will get you to make an extra booking. So by bringing it down to the basics, we actually helped a lot the whole setup. Finally, respect your data. I really like this topic, perhaps because I deal with data a lot. But also tying back to one of the slides that I think Vadim had in his presentation about the whole importance of setting up your experiments correctly and thinking of your whole pipeline. This is critical, and it's sometimes overlooked. Like you're so enthusiastic about like putting the content in place, and is the season correct, and do we have everything correctly aligned to succeed, that we forget about the data pipelines, and we forget about respecting the data integrity from the beginning till the end, and making sure that everyone who needs to receive the data is receiving it in proper condition at the right time. We had a project in which, even though we had allocated resources that should be sufficient, it took us 6 months to put the pipeline in place so that the end user could simply get it as a product off the shelf. And yes, indeed, if you do not think of these things ahead, they can really compromise the success of your test. So this is something that worked for us, thinking a bit more about it, and it's something that we can definitely recommend. So yes, our summary. As Dane said, embrace the culture of experimentation. Make sure that everyone knows where we are going as a group, as a team, that they are asking the right questions to themselves as well as to whoever they are working with, that you prepare for all outcomes. That means a successful test or perhaps a learning that it doesn't really work in the way you thought at the beginning. don't reinvent the wheel. When it comes to things that statistics can help you with, just use it. That's why all those people basically broke their brains for many, many years so that we could use it. Finally, and this ties back to the importance of data. Yes, housekeeping, and I mean, data is a lot of housekeeping, can be very boring, and it can take time, and it can be the thing that you leave to the end of the day because you really don't want to do it, but you have to do it. A chain is no stronger than its weakest link. I found this sentence, and I'm going to start using it a lot more in my daily life, because yes, indeed, sometimes what I do can be the weakest link if it's not done right. So I'll make sure that I do it right, and I'll make sure that I pass the message. So I think that's it for us. I don't think we have time for questions immediately, but keep them in your mind. Thank you very much.